We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. One conversation at a time. We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. We breaking bread, yeah. One conversation at a time.
The Breaking Bread Village.
One conversation at a time.
The Breaking Bread Village.
One conversation at a time.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Breaking Bread Village. I am so happy that we are able to be here this evening to have this conversation. I was just telling all of our guests that I've been wanting to kind of talk about this for a while, so I'm so thankful that they agreed to come on with me and just kind of have this conversation. And I want to give a special shout out to the young man who created the intro song for me. Today is his birthday, so want to give him a little shout out for happy birthday. I think he's in like Puerto Rico right now, so he's definitely doing better than me today. So because we had snow earlier. I'm just want to give him a quick shout out and happy birthday. So I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves. And we'll start with you, Michael, and then Josie, Natalie, and then Jennifer, because that's the way you all are on my screen. So go ahead, Michael.
My name is Michael Wisniewski. I live in Bay City, Michigan. I work for McLaren Bay Region as a surgery scheduler, and I'm very excited to be on this program tonight. I'm really glad that Aaron has asked me because as we were talking before this show started, am a Facebook junkie. I'm highly addicted to Facebook and definitely have some great ideas and comments. So thank you for having me.
Hi, I am Josie. I live in the Saginaw, Michigan area. I currently work as a program consultant for a staffing company right now, but I've had a little bit of experience with social media marketing, and I'm an avid user of social media. So I was really excited that Aaron asked me to be on the show, and I'm really excited for this conversation.
Hi, everybody. I'm Natalie Slonik. I live in Midland. I'm an audit manager. I also teach Zumba, which is fun, and I like to do theater in our community. So I like a little bit of everything, and also very excited to participate in the discussion tonight about social media. I use it a lot. I take a lot of pictures. I like to post all the pictures of things that I'm doing, shows I'm in, and whatnot. So yeah, looking forward to the conversation tonight.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Vinette, and I am from Midland, and I am a historian, and I would say I have a love-hate relationship with social media, so this will be an interesting conversation, I think.
Thank you, everybody. Yes, you took the words right out of my mouth, Jen, in regards to love-hate relationship. So because I'm gonna be honest with you all, everybody, if I didn't have to do social media, I probably would not. I probably would not. But in today's time, you almost have to, right? So yeah. So again, thanks everybody for being here. Jennifer, thanks for being back. You've been on here before. I just want to just talk about some of the highs and lows of social media. You know, it's interesting. It's been something that I've wanted to talk about for a while because again, it goes back to the love-hate relationship. It's like, do I really want to be on here? And then it's like, well, you kind of almost have to be on here. So how do you navigate through it, right? How do you navigate through social media in a way where it doesn't consume you, where it's not a negative, force in your life, and how you actually can do something productive by using it, because it's very useful if you use it right? So I just kind of want to know I guess I want to ask everybody if you guys have had any bad experiences on social media. Like, what's your take in regards to like social media, some of the bad experiences? Josie, why don't you go first? And then Natalie, I think you shook your head too, then you can go after that.
So I've had a whirlwind on social media. I guess probably the most like horrible experiences I've had on social media is I've actually been catfished on social media before. A few times because, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. a lot of the time, but I guess it's, in my opinion, just because it's so easy to kind of portray whatever it is you want people to view you as on social media. I feel like for me, you try to be mindful of just kind of like, what are people actually posting? Is it real? But the way that technology is now, people can kind of just do whatever they want and it doesn't really ring any alarm bells. But I've been catfished before. It at one point got so bad that I almost had to file a restraining order. Yeah. So for me, that's probably been like the worst experience I've had on social media. Outside of that, it's been just kind of general Facebook arguments that turn really south, and especially at the beginning of the pandemic when everybody was super just heated and passionate. I, with against my better judgment, got into some arguments with some people, and it turned into hour-long arguments where, like, an hour or two later, I'm seeing somebody comment 3 times on the post that I was making a remark on, and I'm just like, can we not? But then you can't leave alone because you're just like, well, I just want to get the last word in, and then I'm just gonna stop.
Yes, that's definitely part of it, where it really does consume you that way, where you feel like you have to. And I'm at a point where now I just go okay, and I move on to, like, I don't have the energy for it. Thank you for sharing that, Josie. Natalie, do you have an experience that you want to share?
Yeah, I've actually had several negative experiences, all the way from bullying or just random trolls that pop up out of the woodwork. I actually feel like a lot of times nowadays, now you can't even share your opinion on your own page because people will just stop by and post their opinion even if you didn't ask for it. So it's almost like you're not even allowed to have your own opinion even on your own page or your own space. But yeah, what I've kind of noticed is some people like to use it, it can be used for good or evil. And then some people like to use it to almost weaponize themselves in a way to push their agenda or ideas. And it could be spreading lies. It could be creating fake accounts, posting misinformation, and all of those things, gets people fired up. It can be dangerous. It can be harmful. And then sometimes too, like, you can shut your computer down, but those things that you've had or experienced on Facebook or any other social media, it's still with you after you shut it down. And so it can really affect you in your personal life. So it's just, I don't know, it's an interesting tool. So I try to focus on the positive. I try to reach out to people if I think that, or I see that they're being trolled or being bullied, to just try to offer my love and support. I try to fight for those that are being bullied online.
Well, that's really kind of you, because I've heard people get bullied on social media, and I've witnessed it myself, and it really burns me up, for one. And I really want to help them so bad and say, let me tell you what you can say. Let me tell you what you can say to get them off your back. But it's just really interesting how it does become people's lives. Like, it literally is their whole persona. Like, it's they feel like that's their identity, right? And that's why I'm really, really particular about the time that I spend on there, because it's like, I cannot live in this fake world, which they are creating more of a fake world, as we know, coming up with this whole meta reality. But that's a whole nother conversation. Jen, welcome, Jay. Hey, welcome. Jay runs a very, very good restaurant. And he had somebody call in today, so he had to help them. So that's why he was late. So thank you, Jay, for being here. I appreciate it.
Hello. How's everyone doing tonight?
Oh, well, we're doing well. We're doing well. Jen, did you have anything that you wanted to add in regards to any negative things that you've had? And then Michael.
I mean, nothing, like very specific, but just, yeah, those Facebook conversations that go sideways and everybody's trying to get the last word in, or, it might be like so silly and on your own page, and it just can't seem to end. I think what I'm finding, and sometimes even more true on Twitter, is there just seems to be a lack of nuance. That as much as I love that I can connect to people, and there are really great things about social media, the lack of nuance kind of just drives me up the wall, because then I start to wonder, how is this helping us if we can't see that most of life falls into these shades of gray, not black and white.
No, exactly. That is so true. And I think that's my number one issue with social media, is because I'm a communicator. So sometimes if I just have a quick thought, I may jot it down, right? And it's like the swarms of bees come out and, "Well, did you mean this? And it's like, no, relax. That's not what I meant, but I didn't have the time nor the energy to write all different 10 parts of this that I wanted to communicate. So this is just a general statement. And it's like people they zero in on one word or one thought process, and they just go berserk. And it's like, oh, never mind. I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
So is that the point that so it's not necessarily the difference of opinion, but it's at the point where it becomes past a difference of opinion? Like when do we say, okay, well, this person, their opinion is no longer valid?
Yeah.
Like when does that, like, or is it the difference of opinion, or is it just everyone has to peacefully agree on a point of view, or can someone have a passionate point of view that is different from yours?
And see, me, I mean, this is what I love, differences, right? I love the difference of opinions. What I don't like is the people that I forget that we're even friends on there. And that's the only time they show up, is to like have something.
Yeah, that's a little annoying.
It's annoying and it's draining. And it's
a
like,
little annoying.
Well, because it's this idea that you just want to nitpick, and that's not productive to me. So once I get to a point where I feel like you're trying to nitpick or you're being disrespectful, or not even trying to like actually have a conversation, but more so like a debate, I'm like, you know what? I have like a real life. Like, this is not my real life. So I just like, okay, peace out, see ya. And then I put up a meme like, have a good day.
Right, right.
That's really where I'm at right now. I don't know if it's my age or what, because I used to go for a long time, and I would go back years ago with people like, but and I'll just be going, my fingers, smoke will be coming off.
Right.
And it's like, now I just go, okay. And because I don't care. I honestly don't care. Because at the end of the day, most of those people, we don't have any type of connection anyway. Like, we don't do anything actually outside of that anyway. So Michael, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
I usually try to steer clear of any type of debate or any type of argument. And I'm very careful about putting personal things out on my page. I mean, if you really look at it, it went from, all the stuff about COVID, all the stuff about the election, my dog's recipes galore, and a lot of theater. And that's really it. But I've seen some conversations that really were hurtful, and they have to do it. And Natalie knows what I'm kind of talking about. In our community of theatrical performers, there's been a lot of going back and forth, and there's a lot of not really nice conversations that have been floating out there, and it's a little sad to see. And I had posted something, and someone that I was friends with made a very negative, derogatory comment that had been going on and on and on different platforms. And I thought, delete the post, block the person, and my life is normal. And that's I pretty much stay away from the drama. I mean, there's just too much of it, and it's too easy to get sucked into that. Okay, to they respond, and then all of a sudden you respond, and then you respond, and someone else gives their opinion, and all of a sudden, like Aaron said, you're 3 hours later, you're into this discussion that you just can't get out of. So I mean, there are very positive ends of social media, and there's some very, very negative ends. And the negativity is what I try to stay away from.
Yeah, I feel like, hey Ken, I feel like people too, and you guys let me know if you agree or not, but I feel like people are really emboldened right now, like on social media, and of course we know, I mean, one reason why they are is because, I mean, half of them are like miles and miles away from you, right? Where, you'll never see them ever in real life. But also I think that, of course, with the climate of society these days, people just really just feel like they can say whatever they want to say. And it's so interesting because I'm very, very proud of myself, because I've really grown in the years, because people that know me when I was younger, I was very, if you believe it or not, I was very feisty. I'm trying to be as feisty anymore. But I used to be like, because I had this mindset that, who do you think you are to talk to me like that? You know what I mean? Like, why do you feel that's okay to talk to me that way, or somebody else, right? So I was always that person, kind of like when you talked about Natalie, that tried to stand up for people. And a lot of times you kind of standing by yourself, I found. So I'm like, I'm not going to keep doing this because people leave you standing there by yourself. But do you all agree with that? Where it's like these days people just say, I mean, people have no empathy, no compassion. I mean, I've seen people, where they talk about someone died, and the first thing people say is, did they die of COVID? Or to me, that's so, I don't know, that's just so rude to me. If somebody shares that their family member passed away, I just think that's so rude for that to be. I mean, do you guys agree that people are just like lack compassion?
Yeah, I think sometimes there's a lack of an ethical thought process with social media, because it is whatever you put out on Facebook, you have the right of freedom of speech, right? I mean, nobody can tell you what and it's your page, so nobody should be telling you, hey, you can't put that out there. Yeah, you can. You might not like it, and you might not.
Absolutely.
But go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think the problem is that. Oh, sorry. Is not that when you're trying to limit people who are just needlessly hateful on the internet, is the first thing that they say is, well, it's free speech. It's not free speech if it's an attack whistle. If you are gearing people up to attack someone in real life and taking this from your stupid comments on the internet to people showing up at someone's home, it's dangerous. And we haven't really addressed as a society how to mitigate the fact that that's a crime and how to punish that.
Yeah.
Well, I think okay, so there's a side that says to yell fire in a crowded room is a crime, right? And then there's free speech. The problem is not either, what did he say? There is no right or wrong, but thinking makes it so. So, it's there's the crowded room yelling fire, and then there's free speech. And the problem is, where do we draw the line?
I was going to ask who determines that, though.
It's almost, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to say it.
I like unpopular opinions.
But it's almost a difference of.
No, just say it. Just say it. Just say it. Because I'm curious to your thought process. And we only got an hour, so you got to say it.
Okay, so the line we draw is it's just a difference. It's a difference of opinion. So one person could be offended, but a group of people can agree. So the minority and the majority win. It's almost like saying you're in the office workplace. You say, "Hey, nice young lady, I would like to take you out on a date." She says, "No, thank you," goes to HR. But you're a good-looking guy versus a not so good-looking guy. Difference of opinion is you hit on me or you were romantic.
Okay.
Well, I think that
It's a
just
subtle
seems,
line.
Well,
no,
It's a subtle line.
that example seems a little simplistic to me.
Well,
I mean, and I think
Or
all the women in the room can agree with me. You know the
see,
difference
it's not
between being
simplistic if
approached
only one gender
respectfully.
disagrees.
Okay. Jennifer, you look like, do you have something to say?
Well, I mean, okay, so to step back to the idea of like free speech and
I have something.
I mean, shouting fire in a crowded theater, the idea behind that is that it induces panic and people get hurt. And it's not a theory. Like, this happened and was ruled on by the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court of the United States says that's not protected speech. You cannot use your speech with the express intent to cause harm. Or even if you don't knowingly, like, maybe you didn't mean to cause that, but it still does, you still have some culpability in that. So it's, I mean, free speech and plus free speech is really about being able to speak out against the government, not really about whatever we do on our personal platforms amongst each other. So really, we're actually trying to have a conversation, I think, about accountability.
Well, I was going to say that freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequences.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people on social media as a whole do not realize that, what you say on the internet is forever. So, for instance, so I was telling Aaron and Michael earlier, I spent quite a bit of time on TikTok. And some of what I see on TikTok is a lot of people who will say some either really harmful or really just kind of disgusting things. And they think, okay, well, I can say this, and what can you do about it? Well, okay, you can say it, but the consequence is you might get doxxed for it now. So I have your profile, I have your picture. Most times people figure out what your IP address is. So it's not that hard for them to figure out who you are, where you live, where you work. Now that harmful thing or disgusting thing you said is sent over to your workplace, to your HR department. So I think a lot of people, in the sense of feeling emboldened, partially I feel like it's just because the past couple of years have been just a mess. Some people probably haven't had human interaction in a while. Some people have, that's their business. But I feel like some of it is just kind of, when you're on social media versus having human interaction, when you have human interaction, you're able to pick up on nuances. You're able to pick up on tone. And when you're on social media, those things don't necessarily play a role. So you don't have the ability anymore to pick up on those subtle nuances that you would in a face-to-face conversation. So when people just decide to say something, some of that thought process of how does this come off is completely gone. And because a lot of people view social media as a safe place, they just feel like they can say it, move on, and nothing's going to happen. But there's still consequence to whatever you put out in social media.
Which is true. Which is Michael. And then Natalie, if you had something to say, Michael.
No. I just, I brought up the freedom of speech because I wanted to see what everybody's opinion, what everybody was going to say about or contribute to that. Because it is an interesting, you look at people's, you may say, I can put anything I want on my my wall because it is my profile.
Right.
But somebody mentioned that what are the consequences?
And
you know, what is the fallout? And
see, my thing with this though is like, and I'm just gonna be totally transparent. I'm tired sometimes of people nitpicking what people say on there, right? Because see, my thing is that for me, if I know somebody is a person that always causes like drama or something like that, I just bypass them, or I just like like I don't have to like interact with them, right? That's the choice that I get to make to control what I take in, right? And so it just always is so interesting to me, people that like to stick around. It's like, why are you still here? If you don't like what this person has to say, if you get triggered or whatever word, I'm so tired of using that word too, but if you get whatever by what they're saying and doing, then move along. I think that when we talk about accountability, I think that we have some personal accountability too. It's not always the other person, right? We have to like have some kind of accountability with what we're taking in. And if I keep hanging around and Natalie, even though she doesn't do this, and Natalie is spewing all kind of hate or nasty stuff or talking about how women look or whatever, if I stick around, then that's my problem, right? Even though Natalie is you're not a disgusting person, but even though she's a disgusting person because she's putting all this stuff out there, I mean, don't I have some type of like accountability in participating? Go ahead, Ken. You got your fear, because I can go, because that one really boils me up, because I think people don't take personal accountability enough. So go ahead, Ken.
Okay, so to piggyback on what you just said, I agree. There has to be some accountability online, but that's where I'm talking about where the law hasn't caught up with the fact that online is a whole new reality. And what like Josie was saying, what you put out there stays forever. I mean, it's become so hard to remove things that we may have put out in our youth or in a weak moment or whatever, that companies now charge you for the ability to remove anything that might hurt you in the future. So what I think when you talk about accountability, I think it's twofold. You have to deal with your own accountability, but what I'll admit I'm happy to see is that there are people holding, especially people who are hateful or purposefully hurtful or instigate, hostile environments, that someone's holding them accountable. Like you said, it's very possible that someone will send your hate-filled manifesto to your HR department.
Well, we've seen that a lot
and you will
recently,
reap the consequences of that.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot where people are literally losing their jobs for being hateful. And I mean, hey, again, rightfully so. If you want to be like that online and let everybody see it, then duh. I mean, you may have some consequences from that. So that's something that is just what it is. Jay, you had something to say? Oh, go ahead, Michael.
No, I just before, it's just a thought in mentioning the HR department, the hospital that I work for. I mean, there is a policy on social media that you have to abide by, and it has to do with things that you may post about the organization. You can't take pictures within the hospital and just post them because there may be protected health information somewhere in that photo, and your actions on Facebook. So it's a really good policy that McLaren's instituted.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Place actually, I worked in HR for a little bit, and the company that I worked for, they had a very strict HR policy. So it was like a call center. They worked for different clients. So the company as a whole had a whole policy about social media. Don't say anything directly about the company, like none of that, but down to the client. Like you can't comment on their social media. Like you can't comment that you work for them or that you're affiliated with them, because even if something unrelated to that company comes up on your social media, well, now you've affiliated yourself with this company, so now they're going to be like connected to you, so they might face some backlash.
Right, but I guess I don't understand why people don't get this yet. Like it seems like you would understand now that people look at you.
I think it's on both sides, actually.
You would
What do
think
you
that,
mean
but
both sides?
I think people don't take it seriously until it's way too late. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I work for the government, so technically the president is my boss. So we've all been told you cannot get caught talking disrespectfully or recklessly about the president. But I cannot tell you how many people, when Trump was first elected, got fired for being involved in anti-Trump protests. And it's like, what part of that did you not see as a problem based on what you've been told? So it's really a weird situation where it's definitely become a thing that social media is a part of our reality, but some people still don't get it. It's like they think it's a fantasy.
They don't understand the rules of social media.
I think what people look at
And I
it
think
as,
yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I don't know if everyone ever has, but like The Sims, remember this like Sim World and Sim City?
Yeah.
I think people think that when they get on social media, they're in this detached reality that won't ever come back to haunt them. And it's like, no, these things are merged now.
World of Warcraft.
I mean, series back to haunt me every year. So
I guess I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
you can go.
No, I just don't get it. I just don't get how people. It's just interesting to me. It's very interesting to watch people think that there's these different realities, right? And I really think that social media is designed to be that way, to get people lost in this like weird reality. And that's a whole nother conversation. I won't go down that rabbit hole, but I really think that it's purposely done that way. And some people just really cannot tell the difference. And it's really sad because they're losing their jobs, they're losing spouses, they're losing all kind of stuff, reputation, a good reputation, due to social media, because people really do feel emboldened to just say whatever because they feel like like you said, it's not real. So I could just put it out there. And through an emotional state, most times people are emotional about something, they rant and rave, and then they're like, oh shoot, it's already out there. People have screenshotted it. People have, held on to it, even though you try to delete it. It's like delete. And that's
But
when
is that right though? Is that right? Like that people should not be able to express like their most deepest desire or their most raw feeling. Like, is that like if it offends
realms for you to do that?
Let me let him finish his question. Finish your question, Jay.
So if it offends you, you made it wrong. Or is it just societal standards or just this ethic code that we all just agreed on? Like, because it offends me, it's not right. Or if it offends the masses, that means it's not right. So
let me just say this, and I want somebody else to chime in on this because that's a good question. Because for me personally, I'm totally okay with people saying I get really, people get upset with me about that, but I don't personally. Now if somebody is saying like they want to kill somebody, stuff like that is a whole different thing. But if you're sharing a difference of opinion, I don't care. I don't care about that. Like I personally don't care. I think it's okay for people to share what they feel because it doesn't. What is the people, old people used to say? What you eat don't make me. Okay,
come on.
Y'all know that saying? Does everybody know that saying?
Yeah.
What you eat does not make me go to the bathroom. I'll put it that way. And so what that means is that it doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm very good at compartmentalizing things in life. Like that's over there. That has nothing to do with me. Yes, it's a terrible thing. I don't agree with it, right? But does that mean that person should not be able to say it? That's a good question because for me, I'm one of the people that believe that if I take away their right to say something, my right could be taken away at some other point. Because I think for most of us, and you guys let me know if you agree or not. I know this may not be always the most popular mindset, but for me, it's okay for people to share what they feel because I'm one of those people that think that most times when we don't like something, that's when we think they shouldn't say it. But if we like something, we think people should shout it from the mountain tops, right? So for me, it's like we can't pick and choose when people can use freedom of speech. But Jen, like you mentioned, I mean, it's a whole different, really it meant something different, but we use it for use that term for everything. But you guys tell me what you think about that, because I could go on about that, because I truly believe that people should be. Go ahead, Natalie. You haven't said much. And
yeah. So I really feel like you need to pick your battles in a way. If it's one thing, if somebody has a difference of opinion and you don't agree with it, you can just scroll on. But I guess the areas where I choose to like stand up is if I see people posting misinformation or things like that, because that can do harm to people, to other organizations. That's the part that really bothers me, because in my job, I deal with facts and following rules and that sort of thing. So when I see somebody posting misinformation, it's just, I don't know, it just blows my mind, because it really bothers me to my core, because I have a high ethical standard just in my profession of following the rules and that. And when I see people just, willy-nilly posting random things that are not based in fact, and other people are reading these things, believing them, that can cause a lot of harm to other people, to other organizations, again. And it also stirs the pot. Some people just thrive on the drama and enjoy doing that. Like that's their fun for the day, the week, whatever, is stirring the pot of drama and getting other people riled up. And they just don't realize, I think, that the potential harm that they're just putting out there and what they're causing, harm to other people.
And see, I'm always that person that asks the question, okay, who determines what's facts? Now, and I know, because I know people can get really upset about that. So I'm not trying to stir the pot, not tonight. But some things for me, it's like, that's a strong opinion of yours. And sometimes I'm like, is it a fact or is it an opinion? Because just because, like, I think a little bit of what Jay was talking about earlier is that, like, just because the majority feel this way does not necessarily make it, for me, does not necessarily make it a fact, right? Nope. It's a strong opinion that a lot of people have. And so I'm really one of those people that always ask that question, where is this line drawn? Like, I'm that person that, like, it's like, because if you move a little bit to that way, it could be something totally different. So, Jen, did you have something to say? You look like, because I know you like this topic too. About
yeah, and I mean, I appreciate where Natalie went with that, though. But I was just thinking similar, but slightly different. Just that there's people with different opinions, and we all get passionate about our likes and dislikes, and that can make the world really interesting, and that's great. But there's, to me, a difference between just having a difference of opinion and being your opinion being something which degrades another person, their experience or who they are. And I feel like, to me, that's a pretty clear line. I don't think that's fuzzy. So to me, there's just a difference between whether we're like, if it's just somebody's opinion that I'm just like, oh, why do they like onions on cheeseburgers? That's dumb. I'm just going to scroll by. I don't need to tell them that I would prefer my cheeseburger without onions. They'll be fine without knowing that. Mm-hmm. But, if somebody is saying something that it's misinformation, or
like, give me an example. Give me an example of what you would see if you saw something. I'm just curious, if you saw something that said, and you like, wait a minute, that is misinformation. That is not, right.
To me,
go ahead, Natalie.
I was going to clarify when I was making my comments earlier, about, facts versus opinions as well. I was talking more about stats. So if you're posting like actual data of stats of any certain item, and it's not based in any sort of test that was conducted or any sort of that's the thing that bothers me. Then you're just pulling data out of the hat and posting it online, and people are reading it.
Yeah. And see, and that's the thing that's so weird about that too, Natalie. Thank you, Natalie and Jennifer, for that. Is that people can go to one website and find and get one set of data, right? Go to a totally different website and find something like about the same topic and be totally different. And that's the part where it's so confusing, because it's like, it really is. I mean, you literally can Google something and look up stats, because I'm always researching things because I'm very curious about stuff. And just for my own personal, whatever. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be about the same study. and the numbers are totally different depending on the source, right? What they want to get out, like what information they want to get out. And that's the part that gets so tricky for me. So does somebody else have to say something? Because this kind of stuff I can ramble on all night, but I want you guys as my beautiful guests to chime in.
Yeah, I think if we're, because I know my camera cut out a bit, but if we're still on the idea of what is going too far, and whether or not it's because I don't like what a person said. For me, it's not. I could care less if you say something I don't like, or if you say something that is unfortunately even offensive. I can scroll past that, because the fact of the matter is, if you're bold enough to put it online, you feel this way in real life. But what does bother me, what does scare me, and what when it becomes dangerous to me is when, like I said, when you're using it as a call to action so that people become endangered in their real life, quote unquote real life, then there should be some consequences to that. Yeah. And that line, that's the line for me. I mean, you can be ignorant and offensive all day. Yeah. You can do that on any platform, be it TV, social media, whatever. That doesn't really, I'm grown, that doesn't bother me. But when you're telling people to go to someone's house because you disagree with their feelings on whatever,
yeah,
that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely agree with that. And I think that's reckless. And I think it's cowardly too, because the person that's sending people out are never the ones that go. They're never the ones they're not going to come with you. They want you to do something for them. So I see that quite often. And that part is that's cowardly. And I don't really get down with that. That's totally different for me, for sure.
I would have to agree overall. So I'm a pretty sensitive person. So if I see something that I personally think is offensive or that I think is hurtful, I immediately just want to get ready and go to bat. I usually don't, just because I'm usually the one that gets things hurt in the end.
Yeah.
But I will say in general, my kind of definition of too far is just always if it's egregiously harmful. So how Ken was saying, if it's a call to action, or if it's there was something that went on TikTok where somebody decided to make it a funny thing to say, okay, on this day, you have the privilege to do whatever you want to this group of people. And so some people were just like, oh, whatever, that's so funny. But the people it affected, they're like, no, it's not. It's not funny at all. And that's usually kind of my hard no. As much as I hate seeing somebody who is on social media doing hate speech, I can only give so much of my energy trying to argue against them, because at the end of the day, they're probably not going to change their mind. And I'm just going to end up super emotionally exhausted. So I have to force myself to not engage. But if it's something that severe, then it's guns a-blazing. What do I got to do to get your account taken down?
Yeah. I'm going to tell this story real quick. I remember the years ago, I used to help teach at a hair school right here in town. And there was a young lady that was not what I guess what society would consider attractive, which I hate saying that, but I'm just trying to paint a picture. Okay. And she was plus size. I mean, she didn't have a lot of money. So she had all these things that society says makes you not worth being treated kind, right? She had all these things going against her, so to speak. With that said, there was a group of people in this hair school that created a fake account and would take unfavorable pictures of her and put it on this account. Okay, so if she would turn around, you all know, if you move a certain way, if somebody gets that picture, it can look totally different than if you were standing there purposely posing, correct? So they would take these pictures of her and put it on this account, and everybody would comment on there, and she didn't even know this thing was a thing until someone pointed out to her. Okay, so there was this whole account basically just about her and making fun of her. And just long story short, I just remember that. And I remember being so pissed about it. Like I was so upset and these were younger people, but I literally want to take my earrings off. Like I'm about to hurt one. I was so mad because I'm like, how dare you take your time and your energy to inflict so much pain on somebody that already she had a hard life. Like she was such a sweet person. And it just made me so mad. So I just remember that's the kind of stuff that I have no tolerance for. Like if somebody is spewing out what they feel because they watched the wrong show their whole life, or somebody indoctrinated their brains with something and they really feel strongly about it, I may say something and sometimes I'm like, for what? Because this person is going to go on with their life and still feel what they feel. And now I've exuded all this energy for what? But when it came to that kind of stuff really does infuriate me. I was really upset because I felt bad for her because she was broken from it. She was broken. And the fact that someone took time, a group of people who were privileged, and when I say privileged, I mean they had money, they had stuff, they had a decent life, right? So anyway, I'm rambling, but I just remember that was one thing for me that was like, it was too much. It was just too much.
Those are situations though, like, I mean, just you telling that story, I'm getting like fired up, like, stuff like that. Those are the situations that if you don't stand up, those type of people are just going to continue on. So I'm going to quote Dr. Phil, but you teach people how to treat you. So if you're not standing up for yourself, if you're not standing up for somebody else, they're going to continue this type of behavior until somebody calls them out on it. And unfortunately, some of the time you take a hit when you make that decision to do that. It can set you back. I'm also an emotional person, so it's really hard for me to confront people when I see that going on. So I've been burned before, I've been hurt before by trying to, stand up.
I'm sorry about that. I know that all too well. I'm very outspoken. I've always believed in like standing up for the underdog and all this stuff. And oftentimes when you stand out, you end up standing out alone. It's just the way it goes. And you're standing out, you're like, okay, everybody, let's go. And you look back and it's like, oh, never mind. Nobody else is here. But I do want to kind of pivot this conversation a little bit, because I always like to end on somewhat of a positive note. Because social media does have some positives, right? I do want to talk about that a little bit, because some of this other stuff I really would have liked to have more time, because it's just so much different dynamics of social media that are very interesting to me. But how do you guys use social media in a positive way? What do you guys do to kind of help you throughout life? Jennifer, if you want to go first, and then Ken, if you want to share how you use it in a positive way.
So I've moved around a lot, and I've always been really terrible about like back when we did pen pals, I was really bad at that. Like I've just always been, I love keeping up with people. I love hearing news, but I'm just really bad about remembering to sit down and take the time. So I feel like social media was a godsend in so many ways, because I could connect back to all these people that I had moved away from, and still have, those connections and those relationships, and the people's baby pictures and their big milestones, and like getting to share some taste of that. Yeah. I mean, to me, I love that. And that's why I stay with it. And I have learned to, think about where my energy goes and how I put it in, and making sure to not spend all day glued to my screen. But I do, those being able to keep or recover those connections, I think is a gift.
Yeah. Ken, and then Michael. You're muted. You're muted. I've been saying that for 2 years. Sorry. 2 years. You're muted.
Sorry. For me, I just like to piggyback on what Jennifer said. I love being able to connect with, especially friends and family, since I moved away for work. And a lot of them are back home, or as we get older and have families, they're all over the place. But I also like being able to make new connections. And for me, I've had more positive connections than negative. And it's funny how people will find you based on what you might post or what you're into, and they'll reach out, and now you have these new connections, and it can lead to great opportunities for like personal, professional. I think there's great potential for social media to do amazing things. It just depends on the heart of the person.
Yeah. Yep. That's true. That's true. Michael,
I'm sorry. I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, it's a great way to. I mean, I use it to kind of keep in touch with people, and I mean, I'm heavily involved, as Natalie is, in community theater. So a lot of stuff, I use it. I have a lot of groups that I've either set up or that I'm active in. And it's a really the positive thing for me is it's my way of communicating, because it's very easy to open an email and then say, oh, you know what, I'll respond to that later, and then you get 10 more emails, and that email's pushed down, and you kind of forget about it. Where you can send somebody a quick something through Messenger, or post something on their wall, or what have you, and you kind of keep in touch. And I mean, I just love, and I think Jennifer had mentioned seeing pictures of people's kids and people's dogs and their pets and all this, and it's really just really good to see that positive end of it. Because there can be such negativity, on social media, that it's sometimes it's easy just to look at the real cute puppy pictures, and not look at anything else. And I mean, and I don't even want to start this conversation, but we could have of that, the algorithm of Facebook, because you go, you click one thing on Pottery Barn's ad, and then all of a sudden your feed is loaded with similar types of,
not even click stuff. You can say something.
I
have said things out in the air, and all of a sudden I'm getting ads, and I'm like, wait a minute, Facebook, you're doing too much.
Here's the trick. Curate your ads. Curate like what you. So I only want to see pretty things in the ads. So I always click on pretty things, and then they keep giving me more pretty things.
You have to be very intentional. That is so true. That is the message of the day for social media, that you have to be very intentional. Jay, did you have anything that you wanted to add about some positive parts of social media? I mean, you definitely use it for some positive things and help yourself out, but did you have anything you want to add to that?
I mean, well, I think business-wise, it's obvious, right? Like for me, I obviously see an increase in sales when I post, and whether it's something that's going to stir the pot a little bit, or if it's just an advertisement for Oxtail Friday. But I think the best thing that has come out of social media for me is a voice for the voiceless. I mean, whether you agree or not, like this person actually has a voice, whereas before it's we don't agree or we agree, so you're valid or invalid, however, but this person has a voice. This person is heard. Maybe a couple less dollars in the psychologist's pocket, but it's the person's getting heard, and I think that's the best thing that could come out of social media, is a way for people to get stuff off their chest, whether they want it to be around for 15 minutes or 15 years.
No, you know what? I'm gonna tell you, I definitely agree with you, and when it comes to that, because I do think that there are a lot of people who don't ever have a voice. And again, it does not mean that you have to necessarily agree with them, right? But these are people that have been, you know, either sometimes in their home, nobody listens to them, they're talked down to. So then they come on social media and they finally feel empowered to say something, right? So that's why I guess for me, I don't dig too deep into like when people rant and rave, because I'm like, you know, maybe this is the only time they get a chance to say something. So I'm gonna hey, say what you gotta say. Go, good job, and then I move on with my life. You know what I mean?
You know what I love to see, and I'm seeing it more and more is the younger generation that is finding their identity, whether they are the LGBTQ, what have you, you know, telling the world that this is what my pronoun is. You know, it is. I just love seeing that, because when I was their age, there was none of that. I mean, you didn't have any. There was nothing like this. I mean, when I was their age, there was no internet. I mean, you know,
because I'm about to say, because I didn't have internet as a part of my life, so I know.
No, I mean, I'm old, so I mean, you know, there was, when I was in high school, there was no internet. You know, it was just, you know, your circle of friends, and now everything is so magnified for these young people that I don't know if it's good or bad. You know, because you know, some of them, you know, take a lot of brunt for coming out and saying, you know, I'm a trans, you know, yes, I'm female but I identify as male, and this is how I want to go forward in my life. And either people accept it or they slam them for it. And it's just, you know, that's the I love seeing, not the slam, the negative, but I just love them seeing, you know, this is who I am, this is where I am in my life, and they're taking ownership of it, and I just think it's great.
I think social media gives people the right to say, this is who I am, no matter what. Right? Because you can't say it in your regular life. Like, you don't have that voice. And good or bad, some people see it as bad, you know, and then there's the opposite. But I can be me, whether you judge me or not. Like, I have the right to be me on social media. Yeah. And I think I even experienced that for the first time. They had this site called Black Planet when I was younger.
Oh yeah, we have Black Planet.
And like, I dared to be more than just Jason. Big J was born at that point. And it helped me shape a lot of my adolescent years, and going into college, and then going into culinary school, and even what type of chef I wanted to be. And I think social media, for some, I think if used correctly, can help you find your voice. And I think that's one of the best things that's happened.
I agree. No, I agree. I think and I think that people, and then Josie, I want you to go next. I think that's where, for me, it goes back to knowing what you're getting into, right? We all know that social media is literally called the World Wide Web. Like, it's literally all over. So when you put something out there, you have to be prepared for, you have to know that there's going to be some people that do not like what you're doing. Like, for me, like, even with doing the Breaking Bread Village, in my mind, I'm like, oh, people will love to hear different perspectives, because I love different perspectives. We're going to have a great time. And I have gotten threatened. Like, people are really upset. They get upset that I actually listen to somebody that is not a popular opinion. So, and it's just so interesting. It's like, whoa, I just wasn't as prepared for some of that, right? And so I guess I'm saying that to say, we do have to understand that people are not going to like what you have to say all the time. People are going to be upset about it. People are going to have a problem. You're always going to have that one person that literally spends all day in their mother's basement, like, trolling people. That's literally what they do. Like, they get pleasure out of that. So you have to be prepared for that, and just say, okay, if I'm going to take this chance to come out here and say what I feel and use my voice, I have to be prepared for people to have something the opposite to say to it. So we have to use our own judgment as well when we take those stands. Josie?
I guess for me, positive is just that social media has kind of helped me make the world seem a little bit smaller. So I've gotten to discover like so many different types of music, and I've gotten to see parts of the world through other people's lens that I probably would have never gotten to see. And I've been able to talk with people just about even just like book recommendations or movie recommendations. Even so I work remotely. So even just as a whole with the internet, like a lot of us have connected on social media. We talk with each other all the time, like remotely. So just having that little bit of an extra insight to them as a person looking at their social media, it's helped me kind of even create a tighter bond with my work team. So it's just really helped kind of bridge some gaps for me to kind of help me expand, because in real life, I'm really shy. So it's a lot easier to talk with people, I guess, on a social media platform, just because I feel like face to face, it's just so much more vulnerable, and I enjoy being vulnerable, but it's awkward. But at least with social media, you can kind of, I guess, be a little bit more authentically yourself without feeling that pressure to present a certain way or to look a certain way or even have certain mannerisms. So that's definitely been kind of my biggest positive with social media.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's great. I think we probably all can agree with that in regards to, being able to find different spaces that you fit into, right? Because I think that's really mostly what a lot of people want is something to belong to, right? People want to connect to something. And see, me, I'm more of a person to person type of person. So I like personal connection. So I miss the interactions with people. I mean, when what was this, like the beginning of the year or something, we finally could like get out the house. I was everywhere. I was like, what's up, everybody? I miss that connection. But one thing I was very thankful for and grateful for was that we were able to use social media to still connect. I mean, even like with my mother, like my mother does not live far from me, but when COVID first started, I mean, because when it first started, we all thought we were going to die. Like literally, like it was just like, this is the end, this is the apocalypse. Just connect with people however you can before it's all over. So I didn't go over to my mom's house a lot at first because I wanted to make sure she was safe, right? So we use different technology to be able to connect. So I think that was a beautiful thing for me, was how inventive we got and like creative we got to make sure that we stayed connected to each other. So that was one thing that I thought was really positive about social media, especially during that time. So did anybody have one last thing to say? Go ahead, Natalie.
Oh, so I use Facebook and other social media.
I'm sorry. I thought you went already. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I use it for like jolts of joy. So like anything that just, creates positive vibes and, makes me happy. So like cats and horses, inspirational quotes. I also use it as a tool. So I also, similar to Mike's, will set up like Facebook groups when I'm in shows. So I use it as a communication tool to talk to my cast, crew, production team, that sort of thing. And then stay connected with people as well. So, I have friends that have moved away. I can still, feel just as connected with them now as when they used to be here in town and whatnot. So yeah, I try to stay away from the drama and just focus on all the positives. I also run like a eat local food group as well, where I'm posting lots of pictures of food. So I also try to use
all day. Thank you, Natalie. I'm like, oh God, look at all that food.
Yeah. So I'm also trying to use it to help people in positive ways, like here in our community. So promoting local businesses. I also have used it last year to just get in contact with other people where, with the pandemic and the lack of interaction, I was going to people's driveways and dressing up as Elsa and singing in driveways to kids, just,
Oh, that was you. I remember seeing that. I didn't know that was you.
Yep. So stuff like that. If I can help make somebody, happy and that sort of thing. So I also use it to, you know, help other people, just be able to connect with other people and help them any way I can.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I did not know that was you. That is so funny. I thought that was so cute. I was like, because I know some girls that did it too here in the community, that they were singing and dressed up. That was really nice. Well, I just really, listen, I could literally talk about this all night. Like, I'm not even kidding with you, like, because this is a very interesting topic to me. And I really appreciate all of you all for your different perspectives, you know, and different mindsets in regards to this. And I'm sure there was more you had to say. We had limited time, and we can always talk about this again. But I really appreciate you all, you know, for coming to Ken too. She had to go back to work. She was on her break. She came in and chimed in for a minute. So thank you, Ken. But yeah, I appreciate you all. And if you guys are ever in Cincinnati, check out Big J's Place Caribbean Food. Natalie, don't you have a show coming up?
Yes, I do. So I'm directing Who's Holiday at Creative 360. It's on December 2nd and 3rd. You'll have to get tickets to December 2nd because Friday, December 3rd is all sold out. It is Cindy Lou. She's all grown up and she's kind of, I don't know, to put it politely, trailer trash. Trailer trash. It's what happens after after she grows up. So it is rated R. So do not bring the kids. It is not family friendly.
Oh, I need to come then.
It's a hoot.
I'm coming anyway. I just wanted to make sure we plugged your show. And thank you so much. And for all of you all for, again, coming on. I appreciate the conversation. Really nice. I like this kind of stuff. So appreciate you all. You guys have a great night.
Bye. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Bye. Thank you. And thank you everybody that was watching. Really appreciate you all for watching. And make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, all of that good stuff. I'm terrible at saying that, but I'm trying to say it more. Maybe I'll have somebody sing a jingle so I don't have to say it. But thank you guys so much for all your support, and you guys have a great evening.